Welcome to Python for Tweens Part 5. In this episode, we'll be looking at variables. So what are variables? Variables are basically containers for storing data values. And anytime you want to store a value, you use a variable. Now, in Python, there's no command for declaring a variable, unlike languages like C, C++, or Java. So to declare a variable, you have to just assign the value to it, and then the variable just works using the equals to symbol. So let's run the following commands in Python idle. So this is the idle shell. And so x is equals to 5, x equals to 5, y equals to John. Then we print them out. So we print x, then we print y. So the difference between the two of them is that this is what we call a string, and then the x is called an integer. Now there's a function in Python, and I know we've not yet done functions, but there's a function in Python called type. And what type does is type basically will tell you what you're dealing with. So it tells you are dealing with an integer, and then it tells you that for y we are dealing with a string. Now numbers and integers are different in how Python handles them. Now you can also do this. Z equals to 5, and if you print type, you'll notice it's a string. To our human eye, Z as a variable looks like an integer, but it's not. And the difference is in how the Python interpreter will handle them. Now, user input. In addition to assigning a value, you can assign a value to a variable by using the input function. So the input function returns a string, then you convert it to a number using the int function or the float function. So let's do an exercise quickly. So we'll open our square.py from the last class and then save it as square input, square underscore input. It automatically has the py extension for us. And so below pencil, I add the following code. So let's do that. Please enter the length of the square. Then the next thing we'll do is we'll replace all the torso.forward with 90 degrees with the length of the square. So 100, so okay. Then we'll run the code. Now, when running the code, you have to understand that it will hang at some point because it's waiting for input. So you come here, move that out of the way. and you do 10, and you go back, and then you notice that it has drawn a box. Now the reason why this square is like this is because of the pen size. So let's do it again, and let's use a larger pen size. So let's run it. So let's make this 50. And then when we check it, you notice that it draws a square of length 50. One interesting thing to note about the code is that the variable is taken from here. Now remember what I said, that this portion here is this portion here is a string. From here down to here is a string. So we convert it to an integer using the int function, and then we assign it to the length variable using the equals to operator. Now, as we go along, we'll notice that there's also the double equals to operator. The difference is that the double equals to operator is used to define equality, while the single equals to operator is used to assign a value to a variable. Okay, so we've done this part. Okay, so let's look at comments. We brought in a new concept, which is a comment. Comments are basically portions of your code that the interpreter ignores, and they are made with the hashtag symbol. Now, the way comments work, comments are used for documentation, and they're also used when debugging because they prevent execution of a program of code in a program. So let's look at this. So in the next section, we'll look at how to do. Okay, let me just check the time, and then I'll see if we can do it now. 57 minutes. Okay, so to do this, all you need to do is make a new comment, ask the user for the angle of the angle to the end. Then you just take this, change the prompt text, ask the please enter an angle. Okay, so we do it again, run the program. So please enter the length. So let's enter 100. But this time let's enter 45 and see what it gives us. So you see it's not a complete shape. But if we entered, but you see we're also on the road to drawing an octagon. If we program for 8 sides, and in the upcoming series, we will look at how to replace this with n shapes when we look at loops. So for n side, you just draw the number of angles, and then you how that, because some of external angles of a polygon sum up to 360. So whenever you just divide by 360, you get the external angles. With that,